Good journey, everyone. This is the Crucial Crew member, and this is Space Oats, a Star Wars podcast live on a Monday night. Yes, it was supposed to be on Tuesday. My apologies. So things have happened, and if you are a follower on my Instagram page, which is the Crucial Crew member, you would have heard me today or seen my live broadcast this afternoon that a lot has happened just in the past weekend for me. So let's get real quick started at that, just to kind of give you a rundown of everything that's going on with the Crucial Crew member. Because there's some stuff going on with me. So which is why we're doing this on Monday. Just real quick, I just want to make sure everything's going good here. Yeah, everything's going good. All right, cool. So anyway, hopefully we'll get some people joining in. If not, we're going to keep this going. I'm sure people can watch this a little bit later. But anyway, so what's been going on with the Crucial Crew member? So a couple of exciting news. I actually am going to be a passenger on the Halcyon. And the person that has invited myself and my wife is just joined in. So, super excited about that. July 26th, 27th, I think, is the voyage date that I will be a passenger this time. I almost said crew member. I'm going to be a passenger on the Halcyon. So that'll be quite different. And I'm super excited about that. I did get to do a test of the Star Cruiser way back when, but obviously not everything was up to par. We hadn't opened yet, so I didn't get the full experience. I didn't get to stay overnight. I didn't get to try the drinks. The sublight lounge was not really up and operational. So many things. We were still working out bugs in the very beginning. And so I'm actually going to get to experience that. And as I continue to develop how I'm going to approach this Star Cruiser voyage, you're going to see maybe some posts from my character that I will post on the Instagram page as well, just to kind of get my character backstory going throughout this journey. So hopefully I can get all that done. We're going to see what happens. I can't promise anything with that because it's going to be a busy couple of months because there's been some other things that have happened. Yes, I am going to be a passenger on the Halcyon, but I, as of today, am no longer a crew member on the Halcyon, which is kind of sad and kind of shocking that it happened so fast because I honestly didn't even know that this was going to happen this fast. I thought I was going to have at least till the end of the week to kind of say my goodbyes as a crew member on the Halcyon. But as it comes about, it ended today. So, and it kind of is for a little bit of a good reason because I am actually moving on to a management position, or as Disney refers to them, more of a leadership position. So a guest experience manager over at the Yacht and Beach Resort. And kind of like a stepping stone for me. Something that I've been thinking about for a long time. And it's a temporary assignment there, which could turn into being there in the long run. But we'll see what happens. That's kind of up to me and them within this next 3 months. And if it doesn't work out, I'll be on the Star Cruiser for the last month. So we'll see what happens. This today could have been my last day as a crew member on the Halcyon for good. So kind of a bittersweet day for me because this is something that I wanted to go to directionally wise. But with the announcement of Star Cruiser closing, I almost kind of wanted to stay and be there to support the rest of the crew and the returning passengers to provide the best voyages that we can provide all the way up until the last voyage. So that happened. So again, the reason why I'm doing this tonight is because tomorrow is my first day at my new location, and that happens to be tomorrow night. So this weekly podcast may adjust a couple of times throughout the week. It may be different days of the week for maybe the next couple weeks until I get into a set schedule and I figure out my actual days off. And then I can use one of those nights to actually go forward and set up an established time. I'm hoping it's going to be back on Tuesdays again, but if not, it might actually be Thursday nights. So, but I will make sure that everybody knows. Obviously, I'll schedule this out. You can subscribe, get notified, and you'll be able to join in with these live broadcasts going forward. So with that being said, let's go ahead and move on. So let's talk about a little bit about today in Star Wars. I addressed this a little bit today on my YouTube channel, my Instagram live this morning early, because I thought I was going to do more so of today in Star Wars tomorrow. Let's talk a little bit about what today in Star Wars happened. Lego Star Wars The Yoda Chronicles, the first episode, episode 1, The Phantom Clone, premiered today, May 29th, 2013. If you've never been a fan of the Lego Star Wars or any Lego movies, I love the Lego stuff. I think it's hilarious, funny. It's kind of like parodies. And I've been a big fan of the Lego stuff for Star Wars for a long time. Even the video games, enjoyed playing those. They're a lot of fun. The Lego Yoda Chronicles, you can't watch them all on Disney Plus, just so you know. There's a couple seasons that were out there beforehand that they do not show on Disney Plus. So there's a few out there that you can't find on Disney Plus, but you can find them on YouTube pretty much. All of them or somewhere else. You can pretty much scour the internet and find them. So, but the Phantom Clone, I rewatched that when I got home today. So much fun. It's been a while since I've seen that one, and it was a blast. It's a lot of fun. Runtime is about, I want to say about a half hour, a little bit less, because no commercials if you're watching on YouTube. So, but kind of takes place in that prequel era around, I guess, kind of in between Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, even though it's not for real. So Patrick joining in. Hello, Patrick. Good to see you joining in. Yoda Chronicles is one of those things that's fun. Lego series, Lego Star Wars, all the Lego specials for Star Wars. I'm a fan of them. It's one of those things that, that's not canon, obviously, but there's a lot of fun with it. So it's good times with that. So right now I actually have Rise of Skywalker on, and it's funny because I have not watched this movie that much at all, and I'm seeing scenes and I'm like, I do not remember this. I really need to sit down and watch this movie a lot closer again and again because, yeah. The summer special you never watched it? That's the one with the Halcyon, Patrick. How dare you? I'm actually in that episode. Can you believe it? The Crucial Crew member is in the Lego Star Wars summer special. So, yeah, that's the one that we were in. You got to watch that one. That's where the Halcyon actually got a pool. You didn't know that? Oh my goodness. No, that one's great. I love that one. It's a blast. Weird Al Yankovic does a song. That's a good one. I love that one. Probably my favorite one just because the Halcyon is in it. So, it's good. Yeah, I can't believe you never watched that one. So anyway, Lego Star Wars today in Star Wars history got its debut start, episode 1, The Phantom Clone. Let's move on to that little kind of text that I put out there with your favorite moments from Return of the Jedi, favorite quotes, favorite moments, so forth. Funny enough, my favorite quotes and moments, the little bit of comments that I got from you guys, you both that have joined in, we're like on the same page. I'm just going to go through yours first, and then I'll go through some of the ones that were mentioned on StarWars.com in the article that basically... Yeah, there, my volume just went up on my phone. So some of the ones that were mentioned on StarWars.com. So we'll go through some of those, not all of them. But let's see here. Let's start off with like, well, these are, I don't know how these are, but anyway, Patrick, you were mentioning that everything in Jabba's palace, and I love how you say your next like sentence there, watching Boba strut around and flirt with the singers. So you're actually referring to the special editions version of that, which can cause a lot of uh, debate as far as if that was a great moment or not, because a lot of people do not love the changes that were made to Jabba's palace, um, and didn't really like that part of Jabba strutting around with some of the dancers and so forth. I didn't mind it. I thought it was, kind of gave Boba this almost this James Bondish feel to his character. Um, yeah, I didn't mind it. Not one of my favorites. Again, I go back and forth with the older version to the newer versions of Return of the Jedi. So there's things I do like about the changes, things I don't like about the changes. One of the things I do love about the special editions, as far as the changes, and I think it was one of the best changes, and it actually is up there as far as one of my favorite moments, is the reshoots with Ula Shuka, with the Rancor, when they brought that actress back so many years later, and she looked great, and they put her back in that Twi'lek costume with the makeup, and they filmed those extra scenes of her actually in the Rancor pit, and just that look on her face of sheer terror when the Rancor gets released really set the stage for when Luke got dropped in the pit. So you knew what was coming. You knew, that this is something that terrifies, your average person. And you knew what Luke was up against. So yeah, younger fans do only know the special edition as well. But I loved it. That was one of my favorite changes as far as the special edition goes, was that extra filming of Ula Shuko. So good one there. I love that. I mean, Jabba's Palace is great. Old version, new version, so many different. It's like the cantina scene for Return of the Jedi. So many awesome characters, and in fact, I own, because again, I grew up on Return of the Jedi. That was the first movie I saw in theaters. So a lot of the action figures I have are some of like the background characters in Jabba's palace, like a Man. I still have my original action figure of a Man. I have my Jabba, the original Kenner Jabba, on his whatchamacallit, his little throne with Salacious Crumb. I still have all of that. Every single piece of it. Let's see here. Gave us more Ula. Yeah, yep. She's now immortalized in Gaia's song. Yeah. Han shot first and only first. Han shot first and only shot. That's funny. Yeah, we were talking about the changes. I get you. We're talking about Return of the Jedi though, so we'll debate all that maybe another day. Let's see. Let's go into the other one. Patrick, his favorite quote, which is again this is one of my favorite. I wouldn't say it's my favorite quote, but it's one of my favorite moments of Return of the Jedi. Is just that whole, Luke, I don't want to fight you. You're my father. And then Vader just drawing him out, and using that that line that Vader's just, he's getting under Luke's skin. He's getting into his thoughts and his mind, and his Luke's feelings, and which he dives in, and Luke can't resist thinking about Leia at that moment, and he realized that he has a twin sister, and that his feelings have betrayed her too. Now his failure is complete. Which, after watching the Obi-Wan series, this whole section of this movie takes on a different weight to it. And then that probably, if you were to like break that down, and maybe one of my favorite quotes being, "If you will not turn to the dark side, then perhaps she will," which just sets off Luke, almost giving in to his anger at that moment, and embracing a little bit of the dark side, really, in his confrontation of Vader. So, Endor bike chase, of course. And I'm going to tell you that definitely is one of my favorite moments of Return of the Jedi. That is one of those scenes where when I was young, I'll go back to when I was like 6, 7, 8 years old, and my neighbor and I would ride bikes and we would act out Return of the Jedi. We would pretend like we were on speeder bikes, like zooming through, around the trees and everything, and so much fun. Yeah, exactly. The way he said, "Your sister," I love that. Yeah. It wasn't until he cut off Vader's hand he realized he was falling into a trap, right? Yeah. He looked at his hand, looked at Vader's hand, realized he had fallen down that same path, which is interesting. I mean, you see like the all the way down the line that happening. Anakin getting his hand cut off, Luke getting his cut off, and then again Vader. I mean, going right back and Luke cutting Vader's. Anakin Vader always getting his hand cut off. So, but yeah, one of my favorite moments. I do agree with that Endor bike chase scene. I'm right on with you there. One of my favorite moments. Definitely in my top 3 for Return of the Jedi. And okay, so all right, so I got you on this. I was thinking this one as far as my favorite line, and your line is it's right there with me, Pete. The Han, I love you, and the Leia, I know. So brilliant to just take that line from Empire Strikes Back and flip it and reverse that. Just that moment, Leia's got that blaster, troopers are there, Han looks down, "I love you," and Leia responds just the way he responded in Return of the Jedi. I love that line. Right there, one of my top line. Honestly, it is. That is definitely my top line. The Rancor trainer, as far as the moment, I love that. Yeah, that's a funny one for me. So, but yeah, no, I love that part with it's so perfect to just bring that back around and just flip that scene. So let's go through some of the one. I'm not going to go through all of them. You can look on StarWars.com for the quotes, the favorite quotes. So, like I said, the "I love you, I know" line, the reversed with Han and Leia. That's my favorite. Some of the other lines that I really like that were mentioned, even gets a shout out in story continuation, the Aftermath trilogy. Right, he does. I like let's see, I'm looking through. There's some of these that I like. The Han Solo line, which just cracks me up every time. On Tatooine when they're flying out to the Sarlacc pit, and Luke basically says, well, when Han's kind of like, I think I'm seeing a light blur rather than a big dark blur, and Luke's like, "There's nothing to see here. I used to live here, and then Han goes, "You're gonna die here, Convenient." That one I love too. It's funny how like Harrison Ford, the way he delivers the lines, they're just so great every time. Just the way it comes across, it's funny, but it's so truthful, and it just makes those scenes every single time. So, The Yoda to Luke, there is another Skywalker. That's another one that's in my top as far as quotes from the movie. Because the first time we saw this, we didn't know. So this is where we learned there's someone else out there, and then trying to find out. Of course, we didn't have to wait long because Obi-Wan explained this to Luke, but there is another Skywalker. So much to that, just that little twist in the story. And then also Obi-Wan talking to Luke with a certain point of view, which has so much weight today, because really anytime you can always just explain that off with any type of story adjustment or change, or maybe that's not, doesn't seem like it fits into and matches the storyline of Star Wars. You can almost like play it off as it's a certain point of view. Whose point of view are you watching this movie from compared to maybe a different movie? Maybe we're seeing it from a different point of view this time. That's why, one of the reasons why I love The Last Jedi so much, because there's that scene with Luke and Ben Solo that's told in almost 3 different points of view, and it's up to us to decide which point of view is that right. He meant right. Oh, that's a good one. Also, I like the scenes with Luke and Vader. Is one of my favorite. I'm going to get to that in a moment, but it just kind of triggered me. I want to talk about the scenes with Luke and Vader after he's captured. But I also like 3PO. One of my favorite lines of 3PO in the movie. It's against my programming to impersonate a deity. Love that line. Love that line. And just Han's reaction to that is hilarious. Luke telling Leia, "The Force is strong in my family. My father has it. I have it. My sister has it." If you remember in the Force Awakens trailer, this was part of that. One of those teaser trailers for the Force Awakens was this in the background being said. So such a great quote. Such a great quote. Let's see what else. Luke and the Emperor. Luke telling Emperor Palpatine, "Your overconfidence is your weakness," and Palpatine striking back with, "Your faith in your friends is yours." Ugh, so chilling. Obviously, Luke was right. So, of course, Return of the Jedi has Admiral Akbar's "It's a trap" line. So famous. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure that's about it. As far as like some of the quotes that I really like that were mentioned that are in my top, but there's a lot. I mean, they do 40 quotes on StarWars.com, so a lot of them there. As far as my favorite moments of Star Wars, of Return of the Jedi. So my favorite moments are definitely have to do with, as I mentioned, I like the speeder bike chase scene. Also the sail barge. I mean, what a great battle sequence. The skiffs and jumping across, Luke, just everywhere, all over the place. In that one, just really showing his skills as a Jedi at this point, pretty much saving the day for everyone. So that's a great scene. the Battle of Endor, especially the space part, is just outstanding. So much going on there. The flying into the superstructure, the Death Star was just great. The lightsaber battle between Vader and Vader and Luke, one of the best. I mean, it's right up there with Empire Strikes Back, but I like the Return of the Jedi duel better. It's probably it's my favorite lightsaber duel of the original trilogy. Is that one. And then, of course, the moment when Vader decides to save his son. And carrying off of that, from the moment that Luke turns himself over on Endor, and the conversation between Luke when he first says, "I know, Father," and Vader basically realizes that he's accepted the truth that he told him from their last time that they met, when he told him that he was his father, and Luke fell down the Cloud City reactor or whatever shaft it was. But, Vader realizing that Luke's accepted the truth. And then Luke explaining himself that, he's accepted the truth that he was once Anakin Skywalker, his father. And then Vader basically saying that, that name no longer has any meaning for him. And even though, like, in some of that scene, you look at Vader and we don't ever get to see his expression, but you almost see that he's forming a connection right there to his son, because that's what he wants. He's trying to get Luke to join him, and you can almost feel it, the connection forming right there. So when we get to the end, and we get to the scene with the Emperor basically about to kill Luke with the Force lightning, again, Vader looking and just forming that connection again, and is like, I've had enough. This is it. I'm gonna step forward, and I'm gonna be the person that I was. I'm not gonna lose everything, all of my family. And he takes charge and picks up the Emperor and throws him down the reactor shaft there. So definitely my favorite moment is that moment. Just that look of Vader as he's looking at the Emperor, looking at Luke. He looks back and he just makes that decision. I love it when there's that conflict, the choices being made, and then the end result is the right choice. So definitely my favorite moment. Let's see here. Let's go back through here. We got let's see, was Pete talking about? And then when he floats, he says, "I didn't know I had it in me." Yes, yeah, love that. Love that. Yeah, that's great. Anthony Daniels is a genius. Palpatine's faith in Vader was his downfall. That is true. Yep, he had overconfidence in. So again, that overconfidence is his weakness. Vader's the only one Palpatine calls a friend. That is true. R2-D2 setting up to launch Luke's saber to him. R2-D2 is a crucial character. The whole thing sets up that R2 can be trusted with secrets, but well, yeah. I mean, look how much that R2 knows. He never has his memory wiped, and he admires his son's work building his own lightsaber. Yeah, that is. I forgot about that. I love that when he's kind of just checking it out, like, I see you've constructed a new lightsaber. Yeah, that's a great part of that. That whole scene, I just love that. I love that scene with Luke turning himself into Vader. That whole conversation is almost like a father-son conversation. And I totally believe that that's like the first connection that's made there. That bond is just being initiated between them. Even though Vader might not admit it, it just seems like it's happening. Like maybe at that point he doesn't feel like anything good can come of this. He probably knows what's going to happen just because, he knows how Palpatine operates. He's not dumb. He pretty much probably realizes that he's going to be Luke's bound and determined to be a replacement for him. But and maybe a little bit of his love for his son makes him feel like that's acceptable. So it's interesting to kind of like think what he was feeling at that moment. So pretty awesome. But yeah, awesome. Thank you for sending in some of those moments. Pretty cool. So again, I'm not sure, Patrick, if you're watching Star Wars Visions, if you've seen any of it or not. Pete, I don't know if you watched Star Wars Visions, and we got a couple others that might be on right now as well. Don't know if anybody's been watching Star Wars Visions, but I only did one episode this week because it's been a hard episode for me to watch, honestly. Journey to the Dark Head, I loved it overall, but okay, cool. But I think this was the point in the series. So it was episode 5. It's about halfway through. And I watched all of them on the day after May the 4th. So May the 5th. And it was the morning. So I woke up. I was at Galaxy's Edge all day the day before, exhausted. And I tried to watch them all in the morning. I was still kind of exhausted and tired. So by the time I got to episode 5, I was out. I actually fell asleep halfway through episode 4. So I was kind of going to go back and rewatch them. I tried to rewatch one a couple weeks ago or a week ago, and I watched it really late at night after I got home from work. Fell asleep again. Tried to watch it again Friday night really late while I was in bed and fell asleep again. Saturday, finally, it was either Saturday or Sunday that I finally watched the entire thing. And then I watched it again just yesterday. And I really loved it because I watched it again. I watched it Sunday, loved it. Watched it again on Monday, loved it again. So twice in a row. So much from that one. Again, this was one of those, the only one of this season that was from the Japanese animated film group, or animated studios. First season, all Japanese. This is the only one this year from Japan. I love Japanese anime, especially when it comes to Star Wars. I think they've done a great take on it. It's kind of reciprocal on where all the inspirations come from, because a lot of inspiration came from Akira Kurosawa films, Japanese films, as far as theming and the look and feel that came to Star Wars. And now Star Wars is inspiring animation to create new animation based on Star Wars with Japanese tones. So I love it. Same animation company that did The Legend of Korra. See, I'm not a big, don't know a lot outside of Star Wars. Don't know that one. I'm going to have to check it out. But yeah, I love how this one just ties together from the very beginning with the stones and the image in the stones, and how that carries forward all the way through to the end. It was seeing that, which is the sequel. Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. Okay, I have seen that. Never mind. I don't know why I was drawing a blank there. I've seen that. Yes. I didn't realize it was the same animation studio. But you know what? Now that I think about it, does have a lot of the same tones and looks and feels of that. So two main characters in this one. Tool, which is the Jedi, kind of like a Padawan Jedi. And then the other person is Ara. Ara. So Ara is this. Don't really know what she is, but she's kind of like doing this whole ritual thing with these reflections of the cut. That's when she sees that vision in there. But she feels that these visions are going to help them defeat the Sith, the Jedi defeat the Sith. So, oh, Mary, oh my gosh, amazing. Thank you for joining. We're talking about Journey to the Dark Head because I finally got through this one and watched it, and I really liked this one, The Visions Episode 5. So yeah, Ara wants to help the Jedi basically in this Dark Head, which is basically like a huge temple-like structure at the top of this mountain from where they are, that they feel that if they cut off the dark head of that statue, that it's going to help in destroying the Sith. So she doesn't have any Jedi abilities, any Force abilities. It's Tool that's kind of assigned as a Jedi to go and help her in this mission. So that's how he comes into play. When we meet Tool, he's meditating and he's having a vision of his own, basically battling a Sith character, which is a pretty cool Sith character. Love the way that character looks, especially with the covered face. Almost has like a Grievous look to him, the way that face mask is covering. I kind of thought about that a little bit when I was watching that. They don't really like each other at first when they're paired up. She kind of makes some quips about him being young and that he's kind of going to be useless on this mission. So that bantering going back and forth, which you know that when there's that bantering going back and forth between characters, you know that the characters are going to connect at the end. So it kind of gives that away a little bit. There's, they go on this journey on the spaceship. The Sith actually gets drawn out, the one in Tool's vision. Some really cool battles go on. There's really great lightsaber battles going on. And then Ara basically gets and climbs up to that top of that statue. And there's a little bit of a twist. And I'm not going to give this away because, again, you may not have watched it yet. But there's a little bit of a twist of, the dark head and, that vision, and it kind of takes a turn for what that means and how the outcome is. So it doesn't actually play out the way she meant it to play out in the end as far as destroying that statue. And it has a really great ending. Again, it comes back and ties around to that vision of that stone that we saw in the beginning of the episode. But I really loved it. So this episode is probably in my top. I like it better. It's probably in my top four. I don't think it's in my top 3. It's probably just out of my top 3. So still didn't make it into that top 3. But great episode otherwise, though. I'm glad I actually finally got through it. I don't know why I couldn't get through this episode. I think it was just watching it with bad times. I don't know. But yeah, so now this kind of leads me to, and I have really struggled with this. Like I said, I'm watching Rise of the Skywalker right now. And for those of you who have not kept up with this podcast, every month I do a crucial character pick of the month, and I've been doing this for the past 6 months now. No, 9 months now. This is the 9th month I've done it. And every month I did a different movie, and I picked a character that isn't really like a major character per se. Maybe not someone that stands out and has a specific big role in the film. So I'm not talking about like Luke Skywalker, Han, C-3PO, R2-D2, Lando, big characters like this. I'm not talking about these types of characters. I'm talking about characters that are minor characters, but that are crucial to the storyline. And I kind of picked these characters. And honestly, watching Rise of the Skywalker, there's really not that many like favorite characters among this movie. And I haven't watched Rise of the Skywalker a lot. But honestly, like I almost didn't know like who to pick or what to do with this one, because it is kind of all over the place, the movie. But I'm gonna actually kind of pick, and it's not even like a single character. And it's not that they're just in this movie, but I feel like my favorite part of Rise of the Skywalker is the end, when the Resistance fighters go to battle. So my pick this month for the Rise of Skywalker is the Resistance fighters. So we're talking about, at the end of the film, we're about like maybe an hour left in the movie when the Resistance fighters they find out Exegol, this is where we're going, and they're going to face this final order and the Star Destroyers. And what they're up against, and not knowing how much support they're going to get, they don't know anybody's coming yet. But again, the way that small bands of rebels almost go up against insurmountable odds throughout all of Star Wars is just amazing. So really, like, when it comes down to it, I could go back and I could say that there's so many different bands of rebels. I mean, you look at certain crew as a whole, and what they've accomplished with insurmountable odds. I mean, I just recently watched Rogue One, and you look at what they were able to accomplish with the base on Scarif, the battle over Scarif. But that ending scene, from that point forward in the movie, is my favorite part of Rise of Skywalker. The Resistance fighters basically arriving at Exegol and the battle over Exegol is my favorite. So I'm going to pick the Resistance fighters this time, led by Poe Dameron, but I'm not going to pick Poe Dameron because it wasn't only him. It was the Resistance fighters as a whole banding together to help win that fight against the Final Order. So, and they started it, even though the help came later, but they're the ones that initiated that battle. So, yeah, so that's my crucial character pick of the month, is the Resistance fighters for Rise of Skywalker. Again, that was a tough one because Babu Frick's there too, popping up. Hey. Without him, they wouldn't have found it. I love that. Yeah, so Rise of Skywalker is tough. The Anzellans, yeah, no, I don't know. That whole scene, I don't know, it just bothered me a little bit. It was weird. That was a weird scene. It was different, way outside the box thinking, with that whole C-3PO kind of, with the programming and the red eyes and not even knowing if he'd ever come back from that. That was an interesting scene. Small folks play a big part. Yeah. I liked the Anzellans in Mandalorian. That was probably one of my favorite things about Mandalorian this year, was the Anzellan scenes. They were pretty great. But Babu Frick, okay, kind of one of those things where we didn't really have many light moments within Rise of Skywalker throughout that jumbled connection of storylines that were going on there. Pretty interesting, but it was an interesting part of that story with Babu Frick. So yeah, I'm getting to the end of Rise of Skywalker now, and I'm watching the scene with them basically landing on the Star Destroyer and basically running across the Star Destroyer like it's a battleground with the Sith troopers and so forth. Sith troopers are really cool, awesome, but yeah, like the horseback riding over the Star Destroyer kind of too quirky for me. But an attempt to quickly write the story, so it was choppy. It was choppy. I mean, honestly, I don't really think that. I don't really know if it could have been done any better. I've read Colin Trevorrow's script, and I don't know. I don't know how that would have worked. So it'll be interesting to see how they carry this forward with the Rey movie, with the new Jedi Order. I don't know if they'll explain anything or talk about anything in this in the story at all that maybe connects or provides any information that we were missing from the Rise of Skywalker. So, but we'll see about that. But so I'm going to talk a little bit about what's going to go forward here. It'll take 2.5 movie length to smoothly fix the Last Jedi problems. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. I really don't know. I love The Last Jedi. I'm one of those Last Jedi lovers. I don't know. I don't think you've ever been on when I've talked about this, but it's come up in the past. I'm a big Last Jedi fan. So going forward, again, I don't know how this is going to work every week, but I'm going to keep doing this every week. I just don't know the days that this is going to happen. But this podcast is going on, even though I am not a crew member on the Halcyon anymore. There's plenty of things to talk about with Star Wars, and I very, very rarely ever talked about the Halcyon anyway. I left that to the heroes because that was their job. They have to be the one and only Halcyon podcast, right? So I can't do that. But yeah, there's plenty of Star Wars to talk about. We're going to continue to do that. Next month, I am going to try to get a crew member from the Halcyon to join me for an episode sometime next month, and we're gonna talk about some things together. So I'm gonna try to get some guests started here and see how that works. It'll be a trial run. I've pulled up and done my computer with 2 different cameras to see how this works, to invite through the stream, and switch the cameras throughout the stream to see how that works. I've done the side-by-side a little bit in some mock-ups without recording it, and it worked pretty well. It works pretty smooth. So yeah, I feel I can go ahead and have someone on my podcast with me, and we can talk about some Star Wars together. So as well as with our guest. So next week we'll be doing that again. I don't know when yet. Don't know what day that's going to be. I'm hoping it's either going to be a Tuesday or a Thursday. Hope it's going to be back on Tuesday. If not, it'll be hopefully on a Thursday. So it's going to be either one of those 2 days. The rest of this week is going to be pretty jumbled. If you are a listener of me when I do my pop-up live streams on Instagram, which is The Crucial Crew Member is my handle there. Please know that it's going to be at a different time every day because it's probably going to be on my way to work instead of on my way home from work. So it's probably going to be early afternoon is when I do those now. And yeah, so it'll be a little bit different. I'm going to try to get to Galaxy's Edge this week. I don't know when because I got to go pick up some stuff for my upcoming voyage, things that I want to get. to incorporate with my character. I got a lot going on that I want to start working on with my costume. So I got to get to work on that, my story development, so much going on. So yeah, we're going to have a lot of stuff coming up. And I know all of us are going to be interested in everybody else's cool experiences on the Halcyon as they come about. So we'll be looking out for those posts and podcasts and so forth of all of our friends from all over the Star Wars galaxy that are going to be coming up on their last voyages these next 4 months. So I'm going to go ahead and probably finish this up a little bit early tonight. A lot of times I go a little bit over, but this time a little bit late. Yeah, you definitely need to get to watching those Visions episodes, Pete. The first couple ones are amazing. The first two are two of my favorites, Sith and Screecher's Reach. So definitely watch those two. They're done so well. One of them out of Spain and the other one out of, I believe it's Ireland is the other one. Yeah, they're really good episodes. And then one of my other favorite episodes I will probably talk about next week, which is Spy Dancer. So that's one of my favorite episodes as well. So those are actually my top three: are Spy Dancer, Screecher's Reach, and Sith are my top three. Not in that order, but those are my top three. So I'll talk about Spy Dancer next week. I'm pretty sure I'll get to do that. I want to watch it again before I talk about it. So yeah, Spy Dancer is really good, really good. One of the best endings, I think, in all of the episodes that were there. So pretty awesome. So thank you so much for joining. Pete, Mary, Patrick, it was great. Had some new people, have some returning people. This is great. Watch any past episodes. They are all under the Space Oats Star Wars podcast section of my YouTube channel. So have a great night, Mary. Have a great night to all of you. And we're going to serve this up with a toast to the Halcyon, because again, is my last night. So my last day on the Halcyon. So here's to the Halcyon. What a great ride it was. Here's to a great journey that I'm going to have in the future with great friends. Tabuite, and may the stars light your way.